Since you are doing a guardianship of the person only, the Court's Part 1 packet contains a version of the petition that is specific to guardianship of the person. The form number is in the upper right, CG210P. Up at the top where it says Guardianship of the Person of all children's names, I'm writing out Lucy's name. If you were seeking guardianship of more than one child, you'd list the others as well, but since it's just her, it's only her name.
Item 1. Your name. That's me, right?
Exactly. I'm writing your name in paragraph 1 on line A. If someone else were petitioning with you to be co-guardian, we could use the other lines. And let me just finish typing in your address and telephone number in paragraph 2.
I don't have an attorney, so what goes in paragraph 3?
If you are representing yourself, it's just left blank. If you were represented by an attorney, he or she would fill out this information. In paragraph 4, I am checking the first box to indicate that you are asking to be guardian and then skipping to the next page.
Didn't you forget the name and address at the bottom?
Although a lot of people are drawn to that, it's not necessary if the petitioner, that's you in this case, is the person asking to be guardian. Your contact information has already been listed above, so it's not necessary to list here.
Then why have it there?
It's because it's possible that someone other than the potential guardian might ask the court to appoint a guardian.
Like who?
The parents, for one. In some instances, a parent petitions the court to appoint a guardian. Also, a child 12 or older may petition to have a guardian appointed. Moving on to the next page, at the very top of the page, I'm typing Lucy's name again where it says Guardianship of the Person of all children's names. Many forms involved in this, requesting guardianship, have a spot to write the children's names. This allows the clerk to determine which case the page belongs to in the event that it becomes misplaced.
In item 5, the first box is checked since I'm Lucy's grandmother, right?
Exactly. If you weren't related, you'd check B, and if you had a signed nomination form from the parent, you'd also check 6. A guardian doesn't have to be related to a child. If you're related, your home visit is done by a probate investigator. If you're not related, it's conducted by a CPS liaison. Since you're related, I'm skipping over paragraph 6. I'd only check that one if I had checked that you weren't related in item 5, and would then answer the questions in parts A, B, and C to answer whether you ran a licensed foster home and whether or not you, the petitioner, were the proposed guardian.
Once you get going, this form doesn't seem that bad. What does 7 mean?
7 is only checked if the parents have nominated someone else in writing to be guardian. Usually this is on the nomination of guardian form or a will. In paragraph 8, I'm just copying Lucy's full name and the birth date onto line A. The rest of the lines would only apply if you were seeking guardianship of more than one child. The checkbox at the bottom would be used if you were seeking guardianship of more than 5 children. In that case, a box would be checked and an additional page labeled as Attachment 8 would be attached with the names and dates of birth of the additional children.
The top of page 3 looks familiar.
Indeed it does. Let me just type it in. This next section, paragraph 9, is one of the hardest parts of the petition to complete. This is asking why Lucy needs the court to appoint a guardian.
Well, her father was arrested and is in jail, and her mother hasn't been caring for her because she's an addict. There was this time in 2014 when her mother... And then she screamed that she wanted more bread and snuck out of... Which is why she shouldn't care for Lucy.
That would explain it. Just remember that you have 2 different audiences that will be reading this document. The first is the court, and the second is Lucy's parents, grandparents, and any of Lucy's siblings that are 12 or older, and Lucy herself if she were 12 or older. You need to both be clear enough that the judge, who doesn't know anything about Lucy or her situation yet, can understand, but try to do so in a way that it doesn't cause unnecessary family conflict. You need to show that the parents can't or won't care for her, or that the arrangement is mutually convenient for everyone, but it isn't necessary to detail every bad thing that a parent or existing guardian has done.
You've just heard my story. How would something like that be summarized?
Let me see. How about this? Although Lucy's mother loves her very much, she has been struggling with addiction for the past 4 years. Although she has sought help on several occasions, she has been unable to remain sober. This addiction has caused her to become homeless. Lucy's father was recently placed in jail and is expected to be transferred to prison later this year. Because neither parent is currently able to care for her, the petitioner has been caring for Lucy for the past 5 months.
That looks great, although I may modify it later on. Any recommendations?
Whenever writing a long answer like this, it is often helpful to write a first draft on a separate sheet of paper or on a separate document. Have a friend or family member you trust read it and explain it back to you to know that it is clear. If he or she hesitates or gets it wrong, rewrite it.
Got it. What is 10B for?
If there are relatives that would need to be served that you already know can't be served, you would explain briefly and identify them. For example, you previously mentioned that Lucy's grandfather, your first husband, died last year. In 10B, I am writing his name and indicating that he cannot be served because he is deceased. If you need more space, you can check the box and create a page that says Attachment 10B at the top to continue. Moving on to paragraph 11, I know you will be filing a confidential guardian screening form GC-212, so it's probably safe to check that box. The remaining boxes will depend on whether you are seeking a temporary guardianship pending the hearing or have a written nomination of guardian form. You'll want to come back to this box when you've finished all your papers. Do the same thing for paragraph 12. There is a line to write the number of pages, but wait until you complete all copies of this next form before writing this number.
Will it matter where I sign?
A little. Skip over the first signature line, the one that is by itself and says Petitioner's Attorney, types or prints name here under it. Instead, date, print your name, and sign on one of the bottom 3 lines. If your husband were asking to be guardian as well, he would sign one of the lines.
2 down, what's next?
Form GC-210CA, the Guardianship Petition Child Information Attachment.
Okay, this has all children's name again at the top, and then this child's name. So I'm assuming we're going to write Lucy's name twice?
Exactly. The reason the form does that is that one of these forms is filled out for each child in a guardianship case. The top part identifies the case that it is a part of, and then which child the attachment is about.
I think I get this. Since the first form we filled out was form CG210P, I think you're going to check the second box at the top that says Item 8 of form CG210P, and then check Person on the line below that.
That's correct. In section 1, on subsection A, I'm printing Lucy's name and birth date, and then, on line B, her address, which is yours, since she's living with you.
I'm looking at Part C. Why do they want to know if Lucy is a member of or eligible for membership in an Indian tribe?
It's because of the Indian Child Welfare Act. Prior to the passage of the Indian Child Welfare Act in 1978, approximately 25 to 35% of children in custody proceedings involving Native American children resulted in them being placed into non-Native American homes, often resulting in a loss of their culture. The Indian Child Welfare Act requires that a Native child's tribe or potential tribe to receive notice of the proceedings if he or she is involved in a custody proceeding. This allows the tribe to have a say in the proceeding and to ensure that the child's heritage is protected.
That makes sense. I already know that she has no ancestry on my side of the family, but how am I supposed to find out whether Lucy has any Native American ancestry on the other side? Where should I start?
If Lucy had been old enough, a good first step would have been to ask her if she knows of anyone in her family who is part of a Native American tribe, or if there are any stories that she knows of in the family. Now, you said you already know about her father's side of the family. What do you know about the mother's side of the family?
I don't know anything, so I'll call up her other grandmother to see if she knows anything. Since I've never heard anything, I doubt there's any ancestry, but I'll check anyway.
Since you're pretty sure, I'll complete this as if you've already made your inquiry and found no ancestry, but do your inquiry and change the response to this before you file if you discover any possible Native American ancestry. If I remember correctly, Lucy's 2 right now, so is it safe to assume she's never been married?
Of course.
In that case, I'll check the Never Married box in 1D.
I think I know how the top of the next page is going to look.
I'm pretty sure you do too. Let me go ahead and fill this in. Do you know if Lucy is receiving any type of public assistance?
I think she's receiving food stamps, but I don't know the amount.
So I'll go ahead and indicate yes in paragraph 1E and indicate other that she is receiving SNAP, but the amount is not known. If you learn that the situation is different or you learn any specifics, you change this section before you file.
In 1F, don't I have legal custody of Lucy? She's living with me.
Legal custody is decision-making power. It is typically going to be one or both of the parents, unless the court has ordered that someone else has legal decision-making power for the child. Were there any other cases involving custody of Lucy?
No.
Okay, I'll go ahead and enter in the name and address of her parents.
So, since Lucy is living with me, would I be the person listed in 1G?
You would. Let me just fill that in. I assume Lucy isn't on leave from a state institution, right?
No.
Since Lucy isn't in or on leave from an institution, I'm skipping over 1I. Starting at the bottom of the page, in section 2, in number 2, the names and addresses of each of Lucy's parents and grandparents need to be listed.
I've got the information written down here so you can copy it.
Thanks. Let me just go ahead and type this in. I noticed that you didn't write an address for Lucy's mother. Do you have any information about this?
Lucy's mother is homeless. For a while she was couch surfing with friends in Sacramento, but more recently she's been out on the streets. I've been unable to find her.
I'll go ahead and write unknown for right now. You still need to search for her and complete a declaration of diligent search and request to dispense with notice form to ask the court to excuse you from needing to have her served in the event that you can't find her. I'm not writing NA because that means not applicable. The names and addresses are always applicable, but sometimes you just don't know the answer. Also, since her grandfather on her father's side passed away a few years ago, for the address I'm writing deceased.
In this next section, it asks about Lucy's brothers and sisters. She doesn't have any brothers and sisters, but her mother had 3 other children with a different father.
So they're half-brothers and half-sisters?
I guess so.
Half-brothers and half-sisters count, so they will all be listed. Since these brothers and sisters are entitled to be served with a copy of the petition if they're 12 or older, you can help the file examiner out a little bit by writing out the brother or sister's age in parentheses behind their name. For example, I see from your note that this sister's age is 8, so you can write out age 8 in parentheses. This will let the file examiner know she doesn't need to be served.
Since I'm only asking for guardianship of the person, and no one else has been nominated as guardian by the parents, it looks like I'm ready to move on to section 3. That's easy enough. Let me write down my name and how I am related, paternal grandmother. Okay, number 4. Explain why appointing the person in 3 guardian would be best for this child. Didn't I already explain why a guardian is needed?
You did. On the petition, you explained why guardianship was needed. Here they want you to explain why appointing you to be guardian would be the best choice.
So I can explain that Lucy has been living with me on and off her entire life, and I make sure she gets to her doctor's appointments and sports on the weekend?
Exactly. Whatever it is that makes you the best choice for guardian. Just like before, remember your target audience and do not be afraid to write a draft or 2 before you copy it onto the form.
I think I have it.
Great. Once it's copied over, we'll move on.
The next question, do one or both of this child's parents agree that the person in 3 can be the child's guardian? Well, my son, her father, has spoken to me and asked that I be her guardian, so yes for section A. Her mother is homeless and I haven't been able to ask her, so that would be not known at this time. I think I got that.
And of course, if either of them had said they don't want you as guardian, no would have been checked for that parent.
Item 6. Does this child live with the person in 3 now? Yes, Lucy lives with me. If the court approves the guardianship, will this child live with the person in 3? Of course she will. Does the person in 3 plan to adopt this child? No.
Sometimes people who are adopting a child get guardianship first because getting a guardianship is a lot faster.
Makes sense.
Finally, you can skip over paragraph 7 because you are the person seeking guardianship. Paragraph 7 exists in case the petitioner is the parent, child, existing guardian, or other person petitioning for appointment of guardian, and would have been used to identify how you were involved in the case.
Paragraph 8 is long.
This paragraph deals with whether the child is Native American or could be considered a Native American child. This is important under the Indian Child Welfare Act. I'll leave checkbox A blank since this is a guardianship of the person, not a guardianship of the estate only. I'll also skip checkbox B and the numbered boxes below them since 1 under it would only be used if you already knew Lucy is a Native American child, was already identified by a tribe. 2 is only used if you are the child's Indian custodian, and 3 is used only if you have been unable to contact any relatives or Indian custodian to do an inquiry with an explanation as to why you could not contact them. Instead, we'll check box C. You should contact the other grandparents or anyone else who might have knowledge as to whether or not your granddaughter has Native American ancestry, and then write Form GC210P, Lucy's name at the top, and attachment 8C1 at the top of another page, and write the name, address, and telephone number of anyone that you contacted and the date that you contacted that person. Then you'd attach that page onto this packet. Based on the information you receive, you would indicate whether Lucy is or may be eligible for membership in a tribe, whether Lucy's parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents were members of a tribe, whether Lucy's parents, or her Indian custodian live in a predominantly Indian community, and whether Lucy or Lucy's family has received any services or benefits from a tribe that were only available to members of a tribe. Checkbox 6 would indicate that you believe that she may have some Native American ancestry, while 7 allows you to state any other reasons you believe that she might have ancestry.
And 8 is used to say that she has no known ancestry. I'm pretty sure it'll be 8 because I don't know of any, but I'll double check with the other grandparents. I'm guessing by the size of the packet, but we're not done yet.
No, this was just the first form. Be thankful that you're only seeking guardianship of Lucy. If you had more grandchildren you needed guardianship of, you'd fill out a copy of the attachment for each child.